So we'll move on, and we'll move on to Naby Keita. So I'll kick us off on this one because I've already kind of, I don't want to use the phrase I was about to use. I've already kind of give the game away on Naby Keita, is a much better way of putting it. Yeah, I seen it as a shootout between him and Ox earlier this season because they're both out of contract in 2023. They both have fitness issues. So for me, it was quite simply a case of whoever stays fittest and whoever is most impressive in the performances gets a new deal at the end of the season in sort of like a wrestling cage match. There's a big suitcase at the top, go and get it situation. And Naby Keita has won that battle in terms of performances. I know he's got a slight knee injury at the minute, which hopefully is nothing particularly bad. And I know he's had a small hamstring problem as well earlier this season, but generally speaking, his fitness has been much improved, and I think his performances have actually been really, really good. He started a lot of games. He's completed quite a few games. And yeah, I think I don't want to go as far as coming of age season, but it's not far off from Naby Keita. So I'm a firm keep on that. And Chloe, I'll get your opinion.
When I was looking at this, I thought either Ox or Keita has to stay. And I obviously said Ox stayed, didn't I? I mean, once again, I'm not talking about business, though. I'm not the owner here. I'm talking about who I love. I think if you're looking money-wise, Keita's going to get you more money than Ox. So if we were looking for a player that was, a decent price tag and you needed to make up the funds for it, I think that's where you probably keep Ox and sell Keita.
Mm-hmm.
But like you mentioned, I think Keita has been the much better player. He's when he's played, I think was it the Brighton game at home where he comes off and we just looked deflated. We collapsed from there on in. I think he's had some really mixed games. I remember Atletico Madrid where he plays unreal for the first 15 and then he could be at fault for both goals. You just couldn't work it out at times what he was doing in the game. But I think it's been a much improved season from Keita. And I mean, I don't know whether I'd offer him another contract or not, but I think I'd most defo keep him. Once again, I'm not doing business here because I've both kept Keita and Ox at this moment in time. But I think Keita's been a very decent footballer. Henderson and Thiago can't complete 90 minutes at times. I mean, and those pretty much always your first sub when he's on the pitch. So you do need the squad depth. And Keita, very good on the ball. Drags it up the pitch, takes a couple of players on. And he's also been much better defensive as well. So I'd keep him, yeah. But saying that, if we needed, I don't want to give away who I think I'd want to buy. So I won't say it. But if we're looking at a player who could be a hefty amount, he'd be the player who I'd offload if we were looking to bring someone else in that same position.
Interesting. Yeah, I think you're dead right, by the way, in terms of it would make good business sense to be cashing in on Naby Keita as opposed to Oxlade-Chamberlain in terms of what you'd get. But in terms of like playing quality sense and that slight element of business sense as well, you'd almost be better off keeping Keita and selling Ox. Yeah. It's one of them, yeah. Dave, I'll get your opinion. So me and Chloe are both keeping him. What are you saying?
Well, first of all, I've now got a strong suspicion of who Chloe's going to say.
Same, same. Going to say,
incoming, but for me, it's a keep on Keita. I do think I didn't really think about it this way in a sense. I was just sort of thinking, keep him on the books. But with this contract situation, I suppose if you are going to keep him this summer, you do kind of have to, give him a new contract, and I think that would be seen as a potentially risky thing to do, based on his availability levels, and we know the club can be a bit hesitant about that. So yeah, I wouldn't be surprised really if it does come down to sort of Ox or Keita. I would lean towards Naby. I think, like I said earlier, his availability has been better this season. To be fair to him, not perfect still, but I think he's played sort of in the region now of about 22 games, which is okay for this stage of the season. And I think his performance has been really good. I think he's matured as a footballer. You talk about coming of age, Dan, and maybe so in terms of, we thought about this player who's gonna score worldies and sort of be kind of a bit explosive at times. And whilst he does still have that in his locker, against Atletico and Palace, I think he scored 2 great goals. He is more understated now, and I think he's almost assumed a kind of Gini Wijnaldum-esque role in some ways. So, yeah, for me, it would be a keeper as almost a reward for his performances. There is an element of risk there, obviously, but I like what I've seen from him this season, and I think he deserves to be kept around and given a new deal, albeit one I don't think that I don't think it'd be wise to maybe give him a massive pay cut, and maybe wouldn't be looking necessarily at a 5-year deal, maybe just something like another 3 or something like that. So a bit tempted, but yeah, Keita is definitely a keep for me.
Yeah, I think that's a very fair point in terms of the new deal. I don't think you'd be sort of splashing out on him because we've seen how unreliable he can be, unfortunately. But like I say, like you say, I do think he deserves a reward and certainly another tilt at Liverpool Football Club beyond this season, because the Gini Wijnaldum comparison is a really interesting one because he has sort of developed this season into a more calming influence in midfield, which is really impressive. So yeah, definitely deserves to stay.